Hello everyone, my name is Kay and welcome to Flash Forward, the show where I talk about every single Flash comic. This week, we are finally finishing the Francis Manapul and Brian Buccellato run on The Flash. Buccellato still has a few issues that he is going to write on his own, but Francis ends here. And he's going out on a bang because this week we are covering Reverse, Francis and Brian's official Reverse Flash arc for the New 52, with a brand new version of the Reverse Flash. We have seen small glimpses of him in previous issues, and now we're finally going to get to see this new version of the character in action. So, without further ado, let's just get straight into this. The story begins with Marissa in prison writing a letter to Gomez when the Reverse Flash appears behind her. In the letter, she says that she only wishes that they have more time, and the Reverse Flash says that everybody wants more time, including him, and he has the ability to go back and get that time whenever he wants. And he kills Marissa by throwing these metal shards at her. It's pretty gruesome. And yeah, already we've lost another one of these Speed Force characters. Previously, it was Albert when he was dropped from a building by the Reverse Flash, and now Marissa is dead. Meanwhile, Barry Allen is unpacking all of his work stuff in his apartment because he's recently gotten his job back at the CCPD, and Patty asks him if he can help her set up a party for her parents, because they're thinking about getting re-engaged. Well, not re-engaged, renewing their vows, that's what I meant. And Barry's like, yeah, sure, why wouldn't I? And Patty says, it's because we've been together so long and you've never really cared about meeting my parents. Also, you've never really told me about your parents, which this reveal is a little odd. I'm surprised that Patty has no idea the situation involving Barry's father. Like, she knows that Barry's mom is dead, but she thought that his dad was dead too, and it's at this point that Barry reveals to her that he is locked up in Iron Heights prison, and that he has this box full of all the stuff related to his mom's case, and that he's been investigating it to find out who killed her, but he doesn't want to do that anymore because he's realized that it's taking away from his personal life, like his relationship with Patty. So he gives the box to Patty and tells her to hide it, bury it, do whatever, and not tell him where it is, so that he can now focus on his future with her and his work life and everything like that. And speaking of work life, Barry heads to the CCPD, where he has now been relocated to the basement and not the lab. So they call this place the dump, and his job is to organize all of the cases, but because he has super speed, something that's supposed to take 6 months, only takes him a day. So he's able to get it all done, sit down, have a little sandwich, and that's when Iris shows up to see how he's doing. She's like, oh, it's a bit early for lunch, isn't it? Barry's like, yeah, I had all this time on my hands. Anyway, how you doing? You haven't gotten powers from the Speed Force like Gomez, Marissa, and Albert, have you? She's like, nah, you don't have to worry about that. I'm just here to see how you're doing. And that is when Forrest shows up. He's like, hey, Barry, how you doing? Are you busy? I got this thing with me. And he brings in this weird looking football. He's like, hey, so this was found near where Albert died. We think he was installing it, and then he fell and he died. That's what they've chalked this up to, that Albert's death was an accident. And he's like, hey, I need you to do something with this, can ya? And then he trips over his own feet. No joke, he trips over his own feet, drops this satellite. Barry catches it, and the satellite weirdly turns on when he touches it. And Forrest is like, what did you do? And Barry's like, I didn't do anything. And that is when Patty comes in, and because she needs to talk to Barry, and things are a little awkward between her and Iris, because Iris has been on a date with Barry before, even though it wasn't really anything. Barry has also flirted with her as the Flash, so he's not really being a great boyfriend. While Forrest tries to turn off the satellite, Patty tells Barry that Marissa was found dead in her jail cell, and they think that maybe Gomez has something to do with this. Now, it's understandable that they might go and question Gomez, but at the same time, for some reason, they don't think that this is linked with Albert at the moment. Isn't it really suspicious that Albert died and then a few days later, Marissa died as well? Why aren't they connecting the two? Why aren't they even considering the fact that they are connected. They just don't. At this point, they still think that Albert's death is a accident. So Barry tries to investigate Marissa's death, and the first thing to do is go and talk to Gomez. He finds Gomez, who is trying to hide in public, and Gomez just kicks him out of the way before Barry can even touch him, sending Barry falling onto some train tracks. Barry tries to vibrate through the train. He succeeds, and then is able to get off the train. Luckily, the train did not explode, like was happened previously when Barry has vibrated through things. He chases after Gomez, he grabs him, smashes him against the wall, and asks him questions about Marissa's death, and Gomez is like, I did not kill Marissa. She was murdered by somebody else. The same guy who murdered Albert. Because he tried to come after me and kill me. I warned Albert, and unfortunately he died, and now this guy has killed Marissa, and I'm not gonna let him kill me as well. And it's at this point that Barry is like, what? Albert's death wasn't an accident? We said that he died installing cables. Gomez doesn't plan on dying anytime soon, so he rips up the train tracks so that it will give Barry a distraction and allow Gomez to get away. Barry has to stop the train, which comes off the tracks, and in order to stop it, he uses the speed power to create a wind tunnel that allows him to get the train to safety. And while he's making the wind tunnel, he's like, I'm gonna have to ice my shoulder later, because he's windmilling his arm. It's little dialogue moments like this, or narration moments like this, that make Barry feel more like a real person. I like it. It just adds more character to him, makes him more relatable, even though he's a superhero. Even superheroes have to ice their shoulder. Also, he takes a moment to let everybody take photos of him, where he's just like, hey, I did it, a little thumbs up. Honestly, I think it would be more in character for Barry to do something a little bit more cringier and do like the double peace sign. I feel like that would be more in line with Barry's character to do something like that. Barry then travels back to the dump to look at Marissa's body. She's got lacerations all over her body, but she's also been burnt by electricity. So there are multiple things that were responsible for killing her. And Barry's like, then there's no way Gomez did this, because he doesn't have those powers, as far as I can tell. Okay, let's think back to Albert's death. What about his death could give us clues on what happened to him? Oh, they found the satellite on top of the building that he fell from? That must be the key. And so Barry grabs the satellite and quickly deduces that the satellite turns on thanks to Speed Force powers. That's why it turned on when he touched it earlier. So he heads to the building, and the satellite is a 360-degree camera that caught everything that happened that day. And so using it, Barry is able to see Albert get pushed off by someone, and so he slows down the footage enough and reverses it to be able to see a lightning symbol in reverse. And the first person he thinks of when he sees this is Bart Allen, aka Kid Flash, from the Teen Titans. This is the first time Barry has ever mentioned this character. We have covered the New 52 Teen Titans series before. I just think it's so funny that his first interaction with this version of the character, or any Kid Flash in the series, is thinking that this kid has something to do with Albert's murder. Also, was there no way to slow down the footage so that he could actually see who was running at super speed? For some reason, he doesn't even think to do that. He just lets this assailant be super fast and barely able to see. Like, you'd think he'd be able to slow it down enough to be able to see this guy, but no, he doesn't even do that. Barry chases after Bart Allen, or as we know him, Bartor, because I've read the New 52 Teen Titans series, so I know all about this character, and if you've seen those videos, you would know my feelings on Bartor as a character. I don't really like him, because I am a fan of the previous iteration of Bart Allen, and he is not Bart Allen. He is only Bart Allen in name. The two speedsters run through different countries, beginning with France, where Bart just goes straight through the Louvre, and Barry has to grab all of these portraits and stuff that Bart is just throwing around. He's like, oh man, this kid's such a rascal. One thing I do like about this is that Manapul it's clear that he doesn't really care for this version of Kid Flash, but he doesn't let that get in the way of his writing of Barry. He very easily could have just had Barry shit on Bar the entire time, but he doesn't. Instead, Barry just tries to understand Bar and get to know him. As they run through a desert, Bart sends sand in Barry's face, so Barry can't see anything, and that allows Bart to get away. And then he calls Tim to tell him what's going on. He's like, oh yeah, Barry's been chasing after me. He thinks I might have something to do with some kind of murder. A moment ago, Barry actually said that he doesn't think Bart has anything to do with the murder because he knows the Teen Titans and he knows that they are good people. He just wants to talk to Bart because he's never talked to him before, and he wants to just get to know him and see where he got his powers from and stuff. That's when Barry shows up again, and all of a sudden his Speed Force powers just go haywire, and he sees flashes of Bart's future. And this is where Barry discovers that Bart is from the future. But he does confirm immediately after this that Bart did not get his powers from the Speed Force, so I don't know why Barry's Speed Force just went haywire at this point. I think it's just plot convenience of, oh yeah, he touched Bart, Speed Force went crazy, saw his future. Barry continues to chase after Bart, where he calls him impulsive, and that's pretty funny because it's a clear reference to the previous version of Bart Allen, who went by the name Impulse. He actually currently goes by the name Impulse as well. Bart starts going so fast that he breaks free of gravity itself. So he starts flying up into the sky and he's like, whoa, I can't control myself, please help me. And Barry's like, calm down. First time this happened to me, I freaked out too. It was the most harrowing experience of my life. Imagine hurtling towards space with no end in sight. Yeah, I don't think I need to imagine it. Trust me, you don't want to. I almost blackened out from oxygen loss. Luckily, the science nerd in me took over and I realized that controlling my mass through vibration allowed the laws of gravity to kick back in. So it's kind of he's mentoring Bart a little bit. And Francis is very clear on intending for Barry and Bart's relationship to be developed more in the future, because they land on a shore, they have a conversation about what's currently going on. Bart reveals that he has nothing to do with what's going on. He doesn't know how these people are getting murdered. He also doesn't reveal his origin to Barry. The reason why he doesn't reveal his origin to Barry is because Francis Manapul doesn't know his origin. It's as simple as that, because Scott Lobdell, when he was writing New Teen Titans, didn't reveal Bart's origin until the very end of his series. So this is just kind of Francis stalling for a moment, being like, I guess Bart's just gonna have to say, no, I can't tell you my origin because I don't know his origin. And Barry opens up to Bart and says, hey, it's great to have friends, but sometimes you need somebody who can help you that isn't a friend, like a mentor or something. So I think we should get together sometime, just have a little chat, talk to each other, get to know each other. And Bart's like, yeah, whatever. See you around, loser. Or he's like, count on that. And I don't think he will, because this is the only time that Barry Allen and Bartor interact in the entirety of the New 52. They will never interact again after this. Which is unfortunate, because it would have been nice to see these two get to know each other and see Bart develop as a character from somebody being unlikable to somebody being more likable, but Scott had no interest in doing that. He wanted this character to be as unlikable as possible, straight up criminal. Meanwhile, Iris has a meeting with her brother Daniel, who she hasn't seen in years. He just showed up in Central City wanting to rekindle their relationship, and Iris is like, Daniel, you can't just do all these horrible things and be a criminal and then expect to just come back into my life. And also, you're gonna have to forgive our dad, because apparently their dad is like a piece of shit or something, and Daniel refuses to forgive him for something. We're not sure exactly what the history is. I'm sure we'll find out what it is. But Iris's ultimatum is, you've got to reconnect with our dad and say sorry to him and fix your relationship with him. Otherwise, you will not see me ever again. I will not rekindle our relationship. And Daniel's like, no, I'm not doing that. That guy can go rot in hell for all I care. And Iris like, then I'm sorry, Daniel. I just don't see it. Patty waits out in the rain. She was supposed to be picked up by Barry. She's like, I know I'm dating the fastest man alive, but that doesn't mean that he can't be late sometimes. I think he just forgot about me. He didn't pick me up. I really hope he didn't forget about the arrangement. And she enters the building where she sees Barry. He didn't forget about setting up the party for her parents. He's like, I made sure to set it all up for them, the anniversary party. I'm sorry I forgot to pick you up, but I'll happily take you out for ice cream to help make up for it. And Patty's like, you idiot. Who eats ice cream in the rain? Me. As long as I've got an umbrella, I'll eat ice cream in the rain. Ice cream's good anytime. Meanwhile, Gomez is running through the streets trying to make up a plan to deal with this murderer. And as he climbs up a ladder, unfortunately, his time is up because the Reverse Flash shows up and kills him. He shoots a whole bunch of shards at him and is like, I'll make sure to end this quick, Gomez. And we see Gomez just burst in a flash of lightning. It seems like he just explodes, which is pretty gruesome. And Reverse Flash says, 3 down, 2 to go. Overall, pretty decent issue. Like I said, it was great to see Barry and Bart interact with each other. Sadly, nothing really comes of it. The CCPD arrive at the scene of Gomez's death and are accompanied by Barry, who believes that he should be there because he was in the Speed Force alongside Gomez, because they obviously don't know that Barry is the Flash, but they do know that he was, or at least they think he was in the Speed Force when Iris and the others got trapped in there. So he's able to leverage that as his story and be like, well, I was in the Speed Force with them, so I should be at these crime scenes. And Singh says that that's just more reason for Barry not to be at these crime scenes, because he's a potential target. Also, it's been a while since we last saw Hartley Rathaway, aka the Pied Piper. A lot of the earlier issues were heavily focused on his and Singh's relationship, but he's gone. And we're not going to see him again for quite a while. Barry refuses to stay out of this investigation because he's too close to it and he doesn't want anyone else to die. Meanwhile, at Dr. Elias's laboratory, we get to see Dr. Elias again, and he's scheming as usual. He believes that Barry Allen doesn't deserve, or at least the Flash, doesn't deserve to use the Speed Force, and he thinks that the Flash thinks of himself as some kind of god or messiah. He's like, I can use the Speed Force to do much better things. Unfortunately, my usage of the Speed Force is going to kill the Flash. And we see that he has a big tube with red energy in it, and this is kind of supposed to make us think that maybe he is the Reverse Flash. I think that's what Manapul is going for here. We're supposed to read this, see the red tube, and be like, oh, Dr. Elias is the Reverse Flash. Meanwhile, the Flash goes to visit Iris to give her a costume because it's possible that the Reverse Flash is going to come and kill her, because even though she doesn't have powers from the Speed Force, she was still in the Speed Force, so she'll be radiating its energy, because we found out that the reason he's killing people that were in the Speed Force is because he's trying to absorb the Speed Force energy for himself. So Iris puts on this costume. It kind of looks like the New 52 Kid Flash costume. Barry then decides to travel to the Utah Salt Flats with Iris. This is where he used to come with his father. I'm not sure why he decided to come here. Maybe it was just because of the memories that he has. But when they get there, he asks Iris about how she feels about Barry, because she asks Flash why he cares so much about Barry Allen and if Barry is okay. And Flash is like, because I feel a connection to him, because he was in the Speed Force and I gave him his own costume, so he's all good. Why do you care so much about Barry? And she's like, I just do. While at the Salt Flats, they find some wreckage left there, and it's a piece of Dr. Elias's monorail. This just seems to be happenstance. It's not like he came here to investigate. They just came to the Salt Flats and just happened to find a piece of this monorail here, which is extremely lucky. And so they decide to take it to Patty so that she can take a look at it, and she sees that there is some DNA residue on here, but it's going to take her a while to be able to figure out whose DNA it is. And the Flash is just like, I'm sorry to do this, but I'm gonna have to leave Iris with you, Patty. He doesn't have to do this. I don't know why he does this. It's like he wants to create drama between his girlfriend and the woman that he dated. It's pretty unnecessary of you to do this, Barry. You are the fastest man alive. You can take her somewhere else that's safe. Take her to Singh's place. I'm sure she'll be fine there. They do end up hiring some security guards, so I don't think it would have been that hard for him to take her to David Singh's and then get the same security guards to stay with her there. It's not like Patty's gonna do any better. No, he only leaves her here so that we can get an awkward conversation where Iris asks Patty what it's like moving in with Barry and how it must be pretty scary. Like, we know what you're doing, Iris. We know you're trying to play some little mind games. And Patty doesn't give into it. She's like, what's there to be afraid of? Honestly, it's like we were meant to be together. And Iris is just like, oh, cool. And I was like, you did this to yourself, Iris. Why are you even talking about this stuff? You don't have to acknowledge each other. It's fine. Meanwhile, back at Elias's lab, Elias gives us a monologue. All these years of research, the challenges, the hardships I've endured, it's all paying off. I dedicated my life and sacrificed everything in the name of progress. I often ignored morality in order to keep moving forward. I used people, I took advantage of generosity and kindness. I hurt people. I did what I had to do, and if I could turn back time, I wouldn't change a thing. And we see that he's looking in the reflection of his controls, and the reflection looking back at him is the Reverse Flash. So at this moment you're thinking, oh, he's the Reverse Flash! But actually no, he's not looking at his reflection or like a version of his reflection. This isn't a poetic thing, this is just the Reverse Flash behind him. And he smashes Elias's face into the machine, causing it to explode, and he absorbs all of the Speed Force energy from it. He's like, oh, it's great that you have all this Speed Force energy here for me, Elias. And Elias is like, how dare you? Who are you? Are you the Flash? No, Doctor, I'm something much worse. And Elias grabs a gun and attempts to shoot Reverse Flash with it, and Reverse Flash reveals that he can just reverse time. So he just does that, and he grabs Elias by the head and is going to break his neck. He's like, see ya, Doctor. But that is when Barry shows up and punches Reverse Flash in the face, and Reverse Flash says something that forever changed my view of him. He's like, Flash, perfect, talk about lucky. You saved me the trouble of tracking you down, man. Like, the way he says man at the end, it just makes me think of him having that kind of voice now. Like, whoa, man, I've always wanted to be the adversary of the Flash. It's gonna be awesome. The Flash fights against the Reverse Flash and very quickly figures out that this guy is real tough. The Reverse Flash is shooting shrapnels out. One of them hits Elias in the arm. And then Reverse Flash just grabs Barry, knees him in the chest, punches him in the face with both of his arms, which is a bit of a weird way to punch somebody. And then he shoots a whole bunch of shards at Barry, sticking him to a wall. Like, the shards are in his arms, and he's got him held by the throat. And Barry's like, whoa, unfortunately, I may die without ever knowing this guy's identity. Because that's what Barry wants to know. He wants to know who this guy is. So Barry is at the mercy of the Reverse Flash. He thought that Elias was the Reverse Flash, but it turns out it's not Elias. He refers to it as just a twisted version of himself. Reverse Flash tries to punch Barry's head into nothing, but Barry is able to get out of the way quick enough to come up behind him and kick him in the face because he needs to stop the Reverse Flash now. And at the same time, Elias is trying to shoot Barry and the Reverse Flash with what he calls his Speed Force blaster or gun. Apparently it's supposed to take the Speed Force away from people. Meanwhile, Patty has been investigating the DNA that was left on the monorail piece, and she says that it's still being funneled through the system and it's not ready yet, but she needs to leave because there's only 30 minutes until her parents' anniversary party, so she needs to be there. And she says sorry to Iris, but obviously Iris doesn't need a babysitter. And then Iris says, but what about Barry? Like, he's currently kept in isolation right now as well. Is he even going to make it to your parents' party? And she's like, I don't know. Iris is then left to sit by herself, which is like, oh, I hate this. How do we even know the killer isn't even coming after me? It's not like I ever got Speed Force powers like the others, and she has a ping, and the search for the DNA is complete. She sees a DNA match found for 99.9875%. And before we can see who the Reverse Flash is, we cut to Barry fighting the Reverse Flash again while Elias is still trying to shoot them with his gun. And Reverse Flash says that he plans on undoing everything. And Barry is like, what are you talking about? What do you mean by this? And Reverse Flash refuses to elaborate and instead continues to kick Barry across the city. Meanwhile, at the Central City dining hall, Patty has a meeting with her father because she's just sitting outside waiting for Barry, and her father assumes that it's because Barry is too afraid to see him, and Patty's like, I assure you, it's not that, it's just busy, complicated things going on. And her father is like, well, why don't you come inside and not worry about Barry? He'll show up when he does. But when he shows up, he better not be expecting the last dance, because he's gonna have to get through me. It's a very lovely moment between her and her father. It's one of those generic father-daughter moments, but I am a bit of a sucker for them. It's still a lovely moment. Iris checks the DNA of the Reverse Flash and finds out who it is, and she can't believe it. Doesn't make any sense. Why? And as she says this, lightning starts coming off of her body because it seems she does have powers from the Speed Force. I really hope we're not doing this. We're not doing the Iris gets Speed Force powers because, you know, we don't need to do this with every single partner character. I feel like eventually writers just run out of ideas and eventually come up with the idea of, oh, and then the partner of the superhero gets powers and becomes the woman version of them. It's pretty creatively bankrupt. Reverse Flash and Flash continue their fight across the city while Dr. Elias chases after them on a freaking motorcycle. Look at this guy go. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna blast him with my Speed Force gun in order to take their powers. Now, I don't really like Dr. Elias, but I can't say he isn't badass during these segments. And so is Barry. He just takes Reverse Flash to the ground with a kick. He's like, you think this is a game? Barry then gets blasted by Dr. Elias. I don't know why he decided to shoot the Flash first. You think that he would try and shoot Reverse Flash because Elias knows that the Reverse Flash is going to try and kill him. Is he stupid? Like, blast him first and then go for the Flash. Or just don't go for the Flash. The Flash is a good guy. He's not going to hurt you. But no, he shoots the Flash, and then Reverse Flash does exactly what you think he's going to do. He comes up behind Elias, steals his gun, and tries to hit the Flash, but Iris gets in the way. She's like, Daniel, no! And gets hit by the lasers, presumably sapping all of the Speed Force energy out of her, possibly killing her, because Elias did say earlier that stealing the Speed Force from these people with this gun could kill them. And this is the reveal that Daniel West is the Reverse Flash. And Iris begs Barry not to fight him, but Barry's like, it's too late for that, Iris. You're not going to be able to stop me. And he goes to fight Daniel. That's right, Flash. Lose control. Daniel grabs him by the throat. So I can get mine back. Time to flip the switch and put things in reverse. Don't worry, sis. I'll change everything. And he starts to sap the Speed Force out of Barry's body, leaving him all frail and wrinkly looking. And that's where this part ends. I have thoughts on just Daniel West being the Reverse Flash and the Reverse Flash in general, but I'll save them for the end of the video. And now we finally get to see the origin of the Reverse Flash. And the great thing about this issue is that the origin is in reverse. We start off 2 months ago, where Daniel West has already become the Reverse Flash, and he goes to visit his father, William, who is a very abusive man. As soon as he opens the door, his father just throws coffee at him. And he's like, this is the last time he's gonna throw coffee at me. He turns into his Reverse Flash form and threatens his dad. His dad says that he's the monster, but Daniel's like, no, I'm not the monster, you are. And as soon as I can, I'm gonna go all the way back and make sure you never hurt me or Iris. So yes, in this version of the continuity, their father is abusive, which is really unfortunate because in the original continuity, their father, Iris West, was the loveliest man ever. It's also a very similar origin in this to Captain Cold, like to Leonard and Lisa Snart, where they both had a abusive father and Leonard ended up leaving and stuff like that. Very, very similar origin. Practically identical. Then a bunch of stuff we already know happened, like Gorilla Grodd attacking the city, Daniel West getting wrapped up in that, him getting kidnapped by the Rogues. Turns out the Rogues were trying to take money from all of the people that were with them in the mirror world. Daniel didn't want any of that, so he punched Heatwave in the face and tried to get away. They tried to stop him, and in order to do so, they told Mirror Master to use his mirror gun on Daniel's car so that it will send him back into the mirror world or trap him in a mirror. But in doing so, there was a Speed Force capsule attached to a train, and as Daniel hit it, Mirror Master's gun went off and shot at him, and the explosion mixed with the train, mixed with Mirror Master's gun, sent Daniel hurtling through the mirror world, just bouncing around with explosions and train pieces and Speed Force energy, like a massive blender of all that stuff, and until he eventually landed in the Utah Salt Flats, where he found himself bonded to the shrapnel from the monorail. It has literally become a part of his body, and from the blood dropping from his nose, he discovers that he can actually reverse time. But, unfortunately, the downside to reversing time is that the shrapnel becomes a part of his body and transforms him into the Reverse Flash, and that is how he discovered that he also has a connection to the Speed Force. It's really weird. I was not expecting this to be the origin to this character, where he's like, oh yeah, he fused with a train, and he fused with a monorail, and became this. It's just such a weird origin story. And then we learn even more about Daniel back when he was 18 years old, 5 years ago. Yes, Daniel West is only 23 years old, by the way. Keep that in mind, because that'll be important later. 5 years ago, he went to visit Iris, saying that she's not going to have to go to college in Gotham City because he has a plan to get them lots of money. And she's not interested in listening to him. They haven't really spoken in years at this point, and she just wants him to go back to see their father and forgive him for everything he's done. Iris is kind of shitty throughout this issue, unfortunately. The way that she continues to try and get Daniel to just forgive their father for all the years of abuse. And she got abused as well. Not as much as Daniel did, but she did get abused, which just makes her opinion on this whole matter way more bizarre. Like, why is she like this? Why does she care about her father like this? Why does she care so much about her brother fixing his relationship with his abusive father? This was actually the day that Daniel went and robbed a bank, and the Flash caught him, which we have talked about in a previous issue. So he was 18 years old when he got put in jail. And then we go back 12 years, or 11 years, when he was 7, turning 8. Sorry, he says 12 years ago. This is present day Daniel West saying this, so he's actually 12 years old at this point. Daniel was just a kid who loved catching crickets, and he would keep them in his room because he said that the chirping would help him sleep. And his dad would come in and pour coffee on them because this guy is actually evil. He is cartoonishly evil. He even has a cartoon villain moment where he turns to Daniel with this horrible smirk on his face. He's like, your mother never liked crickets. Daniel runs up behind his father and starts hitting him on the back. I hate you, I hate you, I hate... And his father just pushes him onto the ground, and in a fit of anger, as a kid, he just shoves his dad down those stairs. And you know what? Good on him, because his dad is a piece of shit. I was shocked when this happened. Yeah, he pushes his dad down the stairs. Obviously, his dad didn't die, but his dad would not recover from this. He would be in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. And Iris saw the aftermath of this, and that's kind of what caused Daniel to run away, because he thought his sister would never look at him the same way again, that she would hate him forever. I would never return home. Eventually, Iris came and found him sitting in the woods. She's been hit by their dad, and Daniel was like, he abused you? Is it because of me? And she's like, no, it's not because of you. It's because he's been drinking. And it's like, then why are you trying to convince your brother to just live with this? Because that's what she does. She's like, just come home and just deal with it, and we'll be fine. We'll protect each other. Or you could just both leave, go to the police. I don't know. I'm sure kids are allowed to do that. If they're in an abusive household and there is maybe a police station or something nearby, they could just leave, go to the police, and just tell them what's going on. You have proof. But no, instead she convinces Daniel to come back to the house, and he's too afraid to go in. He is literally crying. He's like, I'm so afraid of what he's going to do when I enter that house. But when they enter the house, they don't find the situation that they were expecting. Instead, they see the present-day version of Daniel holding their father by his throat, ready to kill him, and Barry is there as well. This is a cool ending to this that I was not expecting. They're like, Dad! And Daniel was like, uh-oh, this was not part of the plan. I actually made a mistake. When looking back, the moment when Iris finds Daniel in the woods actually takes place before the night that Daniel pushed his father down the stairs. That was 15 years ago, and the night that he pushed him down the stairs was 12 years ago. It was that day 15 years ago that the Flash and Reverse Flash showed up at their home, so their father is not in a wheelchair yet. Just wanted to clear that up. Daniel refuses to let anybody get in his way of killing his own father. Even the younger version of himself and the younger version of Iris, he's so overtaken with power that he is transforming into a monster, both figuratively and quite literally. He grows into a giant monstrous version of the Reverse Flash, and he's going to kill Barry, and Barry talks to his younger self and is like, hey, Daniel, look at what you become. Your hatred towards your father turns you into this monster. And Iris is like, ah, monster! And seeing the young Iris call him a monster really gets to Daniel. There are repercussions to everything, Daniel, and going back in time to change the past just creates more problems. I get that your dad must have been pretty awful to you and Iris when you were kids, but as hard as it is, we have to deal with all the bad things that have happened to us. That's what makes us stronger. We have to move forward with our lives. Once again, we're bringing up the move forward thing. It's a common theme throughout this run. And then Barry just fixes everything. There's no real explanation for how he does it. He himself explains it as, I don't know what I did, but I just did it. He fuses with Daniel's abilities and takes some of the train wreckage onto himself. So the pieces of shrapnel end up on Barry's body, and he is able to take the power away from Daniel and turn him back to normal. He's still got shrapnel attached to his body, but from what we can tell, he doesn't have the Speed Force anymore. Barry gets Iris to safety, and the first thing she does is walk over to her brother and is like, tell me you didn't do it. Tell me you didn't kill Gomez, Marissa, and Albert. We should be stronger because of what we went through. No, it was all me. And when I get another chance, I'll do it all over again. It's at this moment, Elias decides to butt his head in and is like, see, this is the problem, Flash. You caused this. This is all your fault. And Flash is just like, Elias, shut up. Takes the gun off of him, smacks him in the face, knocks him out. Finally, Elias deserved this shit. This guy should go to prison, honestly. For attempted murder. Why isn't he going to prison? Barry makes it to the 30th anniversary party for Patty's parents, where he gets to take the last dance from her father. Her father lets him dance with her. Her father's a lot more like Iris's original father in the previous continuity. He's a lot more like Ira West was. Is everything okay? No more Speed Force killer. Good. Now less Flash and more dance. No Flash dance? Hush. Even now, after all that he's been through, Barry's still able to make some terrible dad jokes. And he and Patty just dance the night away, kissing. Elias returns to his lab, and the Flash meets him there and is like, I'm here to tell you, stay out of my way. Forever. And Elias takes the Flash's word. Literally. Because he never returns in this comic ever again. This is the last time that we see Dr. Elias, ever. Iris goes and visits Daniel, and it's just a sad confrontation between the two of them because murdering the 3 people was wrong. That was wrong. But Daniel's goal wasn't terrible. He just wanted to make sure that he and his sister had a great life growing up. And the reason why Iris doesn't want him to undo it is because her experiences as a kid made her who she is today. It's just kind of a shitty ending to this whole thing for them. Especially because she shows no actual reaction or a deeper feeling towards the abuse that she suffered as a kid. She's just so nothing about it. Like, she's just so okay about it that it's scarily okay. Like, it's just weird to me that she's just so okay with the fact that she had an abusive childhood and she barely talks about it, and that Daniel seems to be the only one who had a problem with it. I know people deal with trauma in different ways, but it's not even like she's dealing with trauma. It's not like she's even sad about it at all. She's just whatever. She just treats it like it was nothing. Earlier, Barry tried to stop investigating his mother's death. He gave all of the investigation stuff to Patty and told her to hide it. Turns out he can't stay away from it. He needs to do what he thinks is right. His father is in High End Heights prison. He's been framed, and Barry is the only one who can help him get out of prison. So he's going to continue investigating his mother's death. And Patty knows that he's taken the stuff for the investigation. He's found the box. All of the papers are everywhere. And she doesn't care because she knows that this is what Barry wants. So she's just going to be supportive of him. And we get a final monologue from Barry as he saves a jet as the Flash. And although sometimes when you try to set things right, you risk letting other people down, you must not let that keep you from moving forward. If you're not moving, you're not living. And my mom taught me that. I love her for that. And so I run. For her. For everybody. Because no matter what happened in the past, no matter how bad it gets, or how many hits I take, I will always keep trying. And that is where the story ends. Overall, I think the reverse arc was fine. I don't think it was anything amazing. I think that's how my consensus of most of this run has been, is that it's fine or mediocre. My main issue with this arc was my inability to care enough about Daniel West, about Iris's relationship with Daniel, or about Daniel's relationship with anyone else, which was non-existent. I think one of the big problems with Daniel West as a character is that the only real connection he had in the series was with Iris. Like, there was no reason for Barry to care about Daniel West being the Reverse Flash. Like, if Barry and Iris had been together, then you would have had that connection of Iris's brother is the Reverse Flash. Barry is shocked because the woman he is with, her brother is the Reverse Flash. But, like, he and Barry barely ever interacted. They had that one moment in the past where Barry arrested him, and then after that, the only time they saw each other was when Daniel became the Reverse Flash. And it's all because Daniel was a very undeveloped character. He was introduced during a time when a lot of shit was going on. We had all the Gorilla Grodd stuff going on, so we didn't really have any time to develop Daniel as a character. Had Manapul introduced Daniel as early as issue 1, we would have had a lot more time with Daniel. You could have even had Daniel interact with Barry more, and there'd be a little bit more of a relationship between them. He could have also developed the relationship between Iris and Daniel. I would have much rather Manapul focus less on Singh and Rathaway. Maybe even just get rid of that whole side plot altogether because it didn't even matter. And instead focus on the relationship between Daniel and Iris and Daniel as a character. That way, when we find out about Daniel's origin later, I can actually care. Because I care more about the character. The reason why Hunter Zolomon worked so well when Jeff Johns made him into what was essentially the new Reverse Flash. It was because Johns introduced Zolomon early on in his run and gave plenty of time for us to get to know the character, and then the character eventually became Zoom. I think Manapul should have just cut out the Marlboro arc entirely, just gotten rid of Marlboro completely, and replaced that with 5 issues of establishing the world of the Flash and Daniel West, Iris West, Barry, all of their relationships, everything. Just use 5 issues to develop these characters, and it would have made the reverse arc hit a lot more, I think. But that's going to be it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe and hype the video because it will help it get out there more. I won't see you next week for another video because I'm actually going to take a week off, but I will see you the week after where I will be beginning our next big DC crossover event, Forever Evil. I've been building up to this for a while. I'm finally going to do it. I'm going to be doing all of the tie-ins. So we're going to be working on Forever Evil for the next couple of months. Going to be deep in that shit. So I hope to see you then. And have a good one.